of Gail and John Wynn outside of Enid, Oklahoma, and you would think we're at the Cape, really. I mean, this home is just beautiful.
Thank you.
There's not a lot of Cape-style homes around this area.
Not a lot. We were fortunate to get one. We like Cape Cod style, so we were pleased to get one.
Tell me a little bit about how that influenced your garden here. I mean, your garden's just beautiful.
Well, it happens that I like cottage style gardens anyway, and we had actually visited Martha's Vineyard a few years before we bought this house, and I bought a book about all the gardens and homes of Cape Cod. And so I like the pinks and the purples and the yellows and the whites, and that fits perfectly into a cottage garden. I like perennials. And then there's also a lot of self-seeding annuals in this garden.
Right. So you've got some poppies that I see are going to seed there.
They are going to seed. They bloomed in May. And the thing about using a lot of self-seeding annuals is you have to be willing to look at the drying out plant so that it can go to seed and reseed for the next year. But they're kind of architectural and fun in their own way.
Yeah, they're very ornamental.
So I had a lot of larkspur. There's a little left. And poppies. Next will come zinnia, cosmos, and cleome.
Okay.
And then in the fall, it'll be riddled with coxcomb.
And of course, the verbena I know will reseed all over
it does,
too. So,
and it has. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have pulled it off with the yellows and the whites and the pinks. I just love it, and the texture too. There's a lot of ornamental texture in this. What really brought us to your garden, though, I mean, this was a pleasant surprise by all means, but what really brought us was the shed competition.
That's true, yes.
So this is your garden shed from the outside, and it is unlike any garden shed that I've ever seen.
Well, I call it my garden house.
Yeah?
So it's a little bit of a miniature.
It's definitely more than a shed.
It's a miniature. We built it in 2007, and my husband designed it to make sure that it was a scale to our two-story house.
Okay.
And then he did the outside and all the frill part. He loves to do that. And I figured out what I wanted on the inside.
Okay.
So it was a joint effort of both of us.
Well, the outside looks beautiful. I love the arbor over it and the octagon windows in there, the hexagon windows, I should say. Let's go inside and see what your work has done. This is just lovely, Gal.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I first noticed the pegboard. I got to talk about this pegboard. I love how it's so functional, I guess, but it's also just kind of classy too.
Well, thank you. I've never really thought it was classy. I just wanted to be able to move stuff around because at different times of the year, I do different things in here. Like now I'll start hanging poppies to drop seed or to gather the seeds. And so I dry things in here. I dry herbs also. So I wanted to be able to move the walls around without making a lot of holes in them. So they already have holes.
There you go. But it's just so unified that you don't even, it just kind of goes into the background a little bit.
It does.
But yet it's functional. So let's talk a little bit about how you decorate. I have a feeling some of these things are kind of personal mementos to you. You've got beautiful furniture in here, and is this a potting table?
That's my potting bench.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
They were actually made by a man from Weatherford who was a math professor at Southwestern, and he made the potting bench and both of the cupboards.
Okay.
And then he came back in, and I had purchased that from just a box store, and he roughed up my sink area to match the rest of the furniture. He would go around and collect things from old homes.
Okay.
And put the pieces together into whatever you wanted.
And you've got your little hole here for your debris and that sort of
my
stuff.
potting soil underneath and scrape it back in.
So is there a story behind the brand here?
That's my family's brand, Bellman.
Okay.
My dad was Henry Bellman, and he drew the brand one night. I remembered him doing it. And it's been registered for probably 50 years.
Wow.
So, and the stained glass was done by my mother.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of mementos from your dad.
I do.
We've got your license plates up here. And how old were you when he was governor?
I had just turned 12 the first time.
All right.
And
so
then
you got to experience the governor's mansion and everything?
We did. And then he was then elected 24 years later. So I went back with my family, which was fun.
I bet. So I'm drawn to your seed collection over here. This is just...
I have a hard time throwing things away, as you can tell.
No wonder your garden looks so good. I mean, you're really collecting.
It's amazing what a garden produces, a flower garden. Lots of seed, lots of babies. I have baby coneflower popping up everywhere out there. And so I started just saving seeds and collecting them. And then I started borrowing seeds from other gardens I might visit. And so
somehow they get in your pocket.
Somehow they land in your pocket. Poppies are especially good at that. So I decided I wanted to just have them out so if people wanted seeds when they came by, I could give them to them. Or if, like this year, the larkspur didn't really dry out. It was so wet, it just kind of disintegrated.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take some of the larkspur seed and spread it in my garden just to make sure I have larkspur next year.
Yeah, definitely. It's a beautiful plant.
This is a chicken nest that I gathered eggs from as a child.
Okay.
We had a big chicken house, and my mother had an egg business. So we would gather the eggs and wash them and candle them and box them up. And she would drive over to Enid and sell them to different restaurants and hospitals.
Wow.
This was 1950-ish.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's so great that it's still part of your family
It
here
is.
and everything.
I love having
So
it.
what was kind of the plan when you were building this garden shed?
As a child, my grandmother had 10 grandchildren, 6 of them were girls. And we would all gather at her house to play. And she turned her wash house over to us. And we had to drive up a window, and my grandfather would pull out a stock tank, and we had to use it for our swimming pool. We just had the best time at my grandmother's house. So I wanted a place like that to use for gardening, of course, but also to share with my grandchildren.
Yeah,
So
and do they get to come and enjoy
they
it
do
here?
come and enjoy it.
Yeah, I
and
bet.
neighborhood children come and enjoy it.
Well, and I almost feel like I'm in a tree house because we've got so many windows and we're looking out and we just see a lot of trees and branches and your lovely garden, of course. And it's just really nice. But this is actually a functioning shed too. I mean, it's beautiful.
It is.
But I've got to peek around here because you really have your lawn mowers and your weed eaters and that sort of stuff back there.
Everything is there. We use it every day during
Yeah.
the growing season. And a lot of times in the winter. I like to write, so I'll come out here to write sometimes because it's quiet and away from everything.
Yeah, and you got a nice fan to keep it cooler
I do.
in here for you. So do you also do some flower arranging? Because I'm seeing a lot of baskets and wire and
Vases.
stuff like that, vases, yeah.
I do. I make arrangements for our church every week during the growing season, and I'm involved with a food pantry here called Loaves and Fishes, a client choice food pantry, and I take an arrangement there every week so the clients have something cheery when they come in, and lots of friends, and occasionally a small wedding. So I do like to arrange flowers. It's a lot easier to do when you just can go out and pick any, just keep picking until it looks good.
Yeah, and with that much of a garden out there, you've got plenty of flowers to choose
pick
from.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
do.
Well, I love your shed, and I love how you've customized it with really personal. I mean, you've even got some photos of your dad when he was younger up here, and your 4-H garden project. And
Everybody's
your
grown zinnias in a tire.
That's a classic, right, for Oklahoma. But it's just really beautiful. And again, the pegboard, being able to really see all of your tools, having it out, knowing where to grab it, and that sort of stuff.
On any size garden shed, I think it's great. If anybody comes in and says, I'm building a shed, can I look at yours? I say the first thing is line it with pegboard. It makes everything so handy.
That's a great tip. Thank you for sharing
Well,
this
thanks for
garden shed
coming.
with
I
us.
really appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.